Hi, Emmanuel with T2S, and T2S stands for Transformed to Succeed. You want to learn more about that? Look at the website link at the bottom of the screen. In this video, I'll be talking about CloudFront. CloudFront, it's a resource that AWS provides. It is it is also part of what we call like CDN. CDN is stands for Content Delivery Network. Content Delivery Network. What it does, it securely delivers a data, videos, applications, and APIs to customers globally with low latency and high transfer speeds. So it's like when you have an application. So you have an application, and let's say this is where you host your application, and let's say this is an app. But then you have, this is the world. All right. So this is the world. You have America here. My drawing is so bad. Sorry about that. So this is your, so you have all of these are your users. So you have your users, and your users may be located in different places. So you have some that are in America. This is Americas. I'm gonna say Americas here, and then you have others that are, let's say, others that are like in Asia. So you have that, and you also have others that are, let's say, in Africa, and the list goes on. So you have people in different places, and what you want to do, you want to make sure that all of them, they can access your application. So how do you make sure that when they want to access, or somebody from America, they can access uh, as as easily as someone in Asia and someone in Africa? Because this application here, it is hosted. So you have hosted your application on, let's say, it could be maybe here in Virginia. So let's say Virginia. This is where you have hosted your application. It's gonna be like US East 1, right? On AWS. So that's how we identify the regions. So it's here, which means that the people that are in America here, that are in America, they will be more likely to connect easily, to have a better experience when they connect to your application. But what about the people in Asia? They are so far away, or Africa. And then to help resolve that, this is where we we use something like CDN. So you need something like CDN. We call it CDN. So you're gonna need something here, and you're gonna need also something here, so that all of these people, they have the same user experience. You see, and then this is what we call CDN, and Amazon Web Services, or AWS, has one that we refer to as CloudFront, and that's what we're talking about here. So CloudFront will allow people in Africa, Asia, to access the same application that the people in the US access with no latency, like the video will not freeze, it will not take that long to download your or watch your video, or watch your movie, or access social media. So that's what we're talking about here, CloudFront. And when you talk about CloudFront, the key features of CloudFront includes the following. You see, the key features include the following. So you have, number one, global distribution. So it allows you to globally distribute your applications or your services or your products. In other words, people from anywhere around the globe, they can access your application and have the same experience. All of them will have the same experience. And an example would be like Netflix, right? You are in Brazil or Australia, whether you are in South Africa, in the US or Europe, if you have good internet in your home, on your phone, you should be able to have the same user experience when accessing Netflix. That's an example. The second key feature is caching. Caching, it's this feature which reduces load on origin servers, meaning that instead of, every time you want to watch something online, video, social media, you're sending a request to wherever that application is being hosted, right? And then that's kind of like authentication process and stuff like that. So they need to know that you have the right authorization, the right permissions to access whatever you want to access, right? And so it goes to that specific server, wherever this application is being hosted, and then and that may take some time. And the caching, it's a feature that allows you as an end user, meaning the customer. So it keeps in memory a little bit of your behavior, right? When you when you went for the first time, it's gonna take probably some time to load, some time to see or watch your movie for the first time. Then the second time, it's gonna be a little bit faster, and that's because you're using that caching feature, which comes with CloudFront. And the other thing is that you can customize. So it's customizable. You can customize CloudFront. The last one is logging and monitoring. So logging and monitoring. It integrates with, in the case of AWS CloudWatch, which is a logging and monitoring tool. It allows you to check the logs and know what's going on. So that's pretty much what about pretty much about the key features that come with CloudFront. The use cases are many. But I'm gonna just list just a few here for the use cases. Number one, you can use it for static and then, of course, dynamic website delivery. As I've mentioned, so you can use it for, let's say it's a website, and on your website you offer products. People can go to that website, so you can use that. Static dynamic content or websites, it depends on the kind of codes that you have there. Usually that dynamic, it's a little bit more complex than static. I will not get into more details because that's not the purpose why I'm making this video. All right. The second use case will be like streaming media. Streaming media, that's something like, like you have a video streaming like Netflix and the other stuff. Three, API acceleration. API acceleration. So you have that, meaning that CloudFront will accelerate the delivery of API to users. And API, that's application programming interface. It helps reduce latency. Like, the experience, you want to go to a website and watch something and then it's freezing up on you, right? So that's latency. Or it's very slow. So that's latency. Let me take you to the next thing here that I wanted to share with you is how do you set up CloudFront? So how do you set this up? So first, you're gonna have to create. So you create a CloudFront. I'm gonna say, I'll just write it down. You create a distribution. Create a distribution. And then number two, what you're gonna need, a distribution, that's meaning that you go to the console, you find CloudFront, and then create your new distribution. You're gonna need an origin, and this origin could be an S3 bucket, it could be EC2 instance or something else. And then the next thing you have to configure, so you're gonna need to configure your distribution settings. So you're gonna have to configure that settings, and then after configuring your distribution settings, then you will need to deploy your distribution. So this is kind of like what you have to do, and of course, for a lot of resources, if not all of them, you're gonna need to monitor and optimize. So you're gonna have to monitor. You use CloudWatch, which is a log and monitoring resource that we have on our system. And then the last, you're gonna need to invalidate cache if necessary. You're gonna need to invalidate cache if necessary. And so you invalidate objects in the cache if you need to serve updated content without waiting for the cache to expire. So you're gonna have to configure that. So how do you set up CloudFront? You go to the console, create a distribution. So that would be number one. You create a distribution. You're gonna have to create, then you have to configure it. You deploy it. And the next steps, you just monitor. This applies to most, if not all, of the resources on cloud. And finally, you have to look into your cache and see what needs to be updated or validated or invalidated. So without further ado, let's go to the console here quick. And when you go to the console, so just search for CloudFront here. I'm gonna search for CloudFront, and when you search for CloudFront, you may probably see something here. I have my own stuff here that I created earlier, but I will not be using them. So go to distribution here, click here, and then create distribution. And this is where you select But then remember, this is not a demo. This is a high-level overview of the concept behind CloudFront. So you're gonna have to choose an origin here, meaning that you have to create something, and then you can set up an origin path if you want, and give it a name here. And then after giving it a name, then you can this is the cache behavior here. So the cache behavior, this is where you decide the kind of pattern path that you're gonna need for this one. If you do this one, this is the default, and sometimes the requirements may be to change the path. Clicking here, it gives you some more information saying that the path pattern determines which requests apply to this cache behavior based on the request URI path that you're gonna have to specify here. When you have the wildcard here, the star, it matches 0 or more characters, and then when you have this is just an explanation things here. And then the viewer, you're gonna have to set protocol policies here. You decide if it's gonna be over HTTPS protocol, which is kind of like recommended, and then what kind of methods do you need to allow when somebody is accessing your resources. Do you wanna allow them to get, to add, to, so you're gonna have to decide on this. To get, it's like get something as it says here. To add, it's to add something here, and then here you see, like here it has a lot of options which you don't want to give to the users, the end users and stuff like that, because like you see here, they can delete your some of the objects that you may have, like in the case of an S3 bucket. So you don't want to do that. So always give the list methods, permissions to your end users. And if you keep going down here, there's the cache key and origin request. You can also configure this depending on what your requirements are. And as I said, this is not a demo on CloudFront. It's just a high-level overview of the concepts behind CloudFront. You can integrate the web application firewall, which is WAF. Here, like if you say enable security protections, which is recommended for an application that you want your end users to access over the internet. Yeah, you can use that if you want. And then you have more settings here. Like you can use all edge locations. You see here it says best performance. The edge locations, these are other resources that AWS offers, meaning that it's the edge locations allow they allow your end users to access or have the best user experience as they access your product or service or application. So it makes like somebody is in Australia and somebody in the US accessing an application that is being hosted here in the US, they will have the same experience, user experience. So that's why you need this. But you remember, it comes with a price, right? So there's nothing free, but you can maximize. So use like the some of the AWS resources that they offer to monitor also your costs. But also, for your company, you have to balance what resources that you can use and to give the maximum profit for your business. And the maximum profit, the more profit that you make, it means you make money because your customer is happy. So just make your customer happy, and sometimes this is what you need to do, uh, like using this one here, so that the customer is always happy, right? The customer is always the boss. The people that you serve, you work for, or you service, uh, those should be always your priority. So based on that, then you can come up with your infrastructure because you want them to be happy. You can add an SSL certificate here, which is also recommended because you want your customers to access your application using HTTPS, which is the secure protocol over the internet. And then after you're satisfied with the requirements, the settings, then what you do is to click create distribution. So that's how you do it. And again, as I said, the key here is to just help you understand the high level overview of the concept behind CloudFront. So the use cases, we talked about the use cases here. Here we have the key features of CloudFront. And those are the things that you really need to remember, you need to know, because once you understand the architecture, you understand the the overview or the concept behind this, then you can go to the console and then you can play easily with this tool. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless.